Welcome to Growing Up Boomer. I'm your host, Padre, with my co-host, Professor. And this podcast is dedicated to the life and times of the baby boomer generation. The show is loosely scripted, and sometimes we'll go down rabbit holes, and where it leads us to, one will never know. This podcast can be informative, funny, and sometimes irreverent. But most of all, we hope you find it entertaining. Hello and welcome to Growing Up Boomer. I'm your host, Padre, and like I said before, the professor will be joining us sometime in January. But for now, you're going to have to deal with me, okay? Now, the topic for today is trends boomers just will not accept or understand, okay? So, but before we get into that, I got to tell you, I have a movie review for you. I just can't help but comment every so often on modern culture. And, I just love bad movies. Alrighty. I mean, so these particular ones, I truly enjoyed. I did two of them. Matter of fact, they're from the Predator series. Now, that franchise has 9 different movies, starting back in 1987 with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And here's a little trivia on that. Did you know the original Predator was Jean-Claude Van Damme? All right. Now, all you Gen Zers have no idea who this is, but all us baby boomers know who this is. All righty. Big time action hero in the 80s and the 90s. I mean, I'll be honest with you. My wife couldn't get enough of this guy. We owned every Van Damme movie under the sun. Okay. I remember one time. If you remember, baby boomers, we used to go and rent videos and VHS tapes, and we would go. And one time I was going through the house, and all of a sudden I said, Universal Soldier. Okay, what's going on here? All righty. And remember, it was like $1.50, $2 a rent. I took it back. The late fees were $21. I could have bought the movie because my wife kept watching it over and over again. But having said, what happened was that they didn't like the way he looked in the costume. So what they had done is ended up with Kevin Peter Hall, I believe who it was. But one of the producers saw him, and they had him star in Bloodsport, which was one of his biggest beginning movies and things like that. But that was done in 1987. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, great movie. I thought, though, the cast was a cast from Sergeant Rock. If anybody ever read comic books back in the 60s, 50s, and 60s, Sergeant Rock was really big. I mean, it was about World War II, but the characters in Predator matched the characters in Sergeant Rock. All right. So I'm going like, oh, okay. I gravitated to it right away. Then the second one was Predator 2, which came out in 1990. And I believe it showed LA in 2010, just a city of chaos. I mean, the drug cartels had taken over LA. Danny Glover was in it. Gary Busey was in it. Not a bad movie. I enjoyed it. Then, of course, it was Alien versus Predator in 2004. Now, I know for a fact there was probably 2 producers talking about this, and they were probably going, oh, I bet you Predator can beat Alien, or the other one was going, oh, I bet you Alien can beat Predator, and they made a movie out of it. Not only one movie, they made 2 movies out of it. Alien versus Predator, Requiem in 2007. Then there were Predators, which I enjoyed. Probably because Danny Trejo was in it, and he's one of my guys, okay? I just really like that one. Then they came out with another one in 2018, The Predator, which was kind of a reboot. Thumbs down, okay? Now, if I don't like it, it's got to be bad. Yeah, it's got to be bad. But the review I want to go over with 2 of them real quick. The first one is called Prey, Prey. And it has to deal with the Predator coming 300 years earlier in the Comanche Nation. And it's pretty good because of what they do on one of them is that you can order it with them speaking Comanche, in which I enjoy because I look at all kinds of foreign films. I like, the films from China, Korea, Indonesia. I mean, I've seen them all. I've seen a ton of them. All righty. So I'm used to that foreign language and subtitles. But this is pretty good. The problem is it was filmed in English, of course, and it looks kind of like a Godzilla movie when they do the subtitle. But I like the movie, the premise, excellent. Woman warrior, wants to be a warrior, of course, in back in those days, especially within the hierarchy, hierarchy of the Indian nations, women were not warriors, but she proves herself and becomes one of the chieftains in the Comanche nations. But that was good. Then there was another one called Predator: Killers versus Killers. This is the only Predator movie I have not seen. This was done in 2025 by the same people that did Prey, except it's animated. I just can't handle animated, so we won't go into that one because I don't see it. The next one is called Predators: Badlands. That one I really enjoyed because it takes it to a different level. This particular one, this predator is like the runt of the litter. And basically they want to get rid of him. He's too small, so he decides he's going after the beast that all predators fear. And when you see him fighting them, you understand why, because you can't kill this thing. No matter what you do, cut off the head, cut off whatever, the thing regenerates itself. So even the predators are scared of it, but to prove himself, he is going after this beast. But I'm going to tell you this. At the very end of the movie, it has the best line of any ending movie that I have seen in a long time. Okay? I rank it right up there with, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Okay? From Gone with the Wind. Yeah, get this. He comes back, battles his dad, ends up killing his father. Okay, now, as the scene unfolds, all of a sudden, there's our armada coming. And one of his partners asks, "Are these people yours?" And no way, it's my mother. And I thought, oh, that's a great line to finish that with. So, but yeah, if you want to see me, if you like those kind of movies, I recommend those two very highly, especially Prey. Okay. The Badlands I like because they take it in a different direction, and that's pretty good. So let's get into the podcast now. Now, here it is. The first thing that baby boomers don't understand is influencers as a full-time job. Okay? Now, I myself don't know. I mean, I was looking this up. There's 10.2 million influencers on Instagram. 10.2. Some of them make over six figures. Now, I'll be honest with you. I've talked with the professor about this. I said, you don't have to worry about us falling into that category. Okay? We can hardly influence our kids. We're going to influence other people. So I decided to do a little research, and I know my sister-in-law, use some of the, shall we say, the influencers. So go on there, and I said, okay, let me take a look, as I wanted to talk about it over in the on the podcast. So, okay, so we're looking at this woman selling makeup. I said, this is an infomercial from the 70s. It's no different. They're selling stuff. I used to see this because when I used to work, I would get up at 2, 3 in the morning after my shower, getting ready, and I'd have the TV on. We'd have these infomercials. I said, that's all this is. It's an infomercial, nothing more. Yeah. But they make good money, huh? And if you can do it, great. And not only do they have influencers, they've got de-influencers. I guess these people are giving you a consumer warning. They don't want you to do this. And if I was a smart competitor, I'd hire these people go after my competitors and de-influence them. Now, the second thing is, get this, kiosks. We don't get kiosks. Okay? Now, I'll be honest with you. I love kiosks. Okay? They're basically like the apps on my phone. And so everything that's there, yeah. I have a story to prove we baby boomers do not like kiosks. We were going down for New Year's to my sister-in-law's house. Decided to stop off. Yeah, let's get a McDonald's. Okay? I think it was in Buttonwillow. Okay, let's go to McDonald's. Drive in, go walk in, and it says, we didn't want to eat in the car, wanted to eat it in the restaurant. We go in there, right? Nobody at the counter, and it's pretty crowded, but there's nobody at the counter. We walk up to the counter, ain't nobody coming. And I said, we have to use the kiosk. Okay, we have to use the kiosk. No, they wouldn't budge. They wouldn't move. I told them 3 times, nobody's coming. We have to go to the kiosk. But my wife and her sister, it was like they didn't hear me. They want people to come to them. And so I finally told my grandson, let's go to the kiosk. Once he landed, then they followed. And then once they got there, it's like, oh my God, what do we do? What do we do? And then so I said, go ahead and order. I told my grandson, go ahead and order. And he just goes in there. Okay, he's done. All right, now you. But I had to put in the order for him. They just couldn't figure it out. I mean, and that's technology. It isn't so much that we don't understand, is we're old. We had the same problem with our parents. All righty? And how about this other one? How about the digital detox vacations? Now, baby boomers don't understand that because we always had digital detox vacations. We didn't have all of this stuff. We didn't have pagers. I mean, we didn't have email. We didn't have phones. When we were gone, we were gone. I mean, we were sending postcards. And if we wanted to find out what was happening, we would call on the payphone. So we don't understand it, but I can. Because, just because of the fact that we have so many ways to stay connected. Sometimes it's just good just to get away, avoid the phones, the email, the computers, and there's actually digital detox vacations. We don't understand that, but still, and then one other thing we do not understand is gender neutral fashion. Okay, we just don't understand that because we come from the age where there's men's clothes and there's women's clothes, all righty? But now the lines are, shall we say, blurred, which is great for business because they only need one commercial. They don't need to have all these commercials marketed towards women, marketed towards men. Just market it. End of story. So I think it's a corporate conspiracy, so they don't have to spend so much money on advertising. Oh, and how about non-linear career paths? Okay, if you remember, baby boomers would get a job. He says, I'm going to stay here till I retire and I'm going to work my way up. That is no longer the case. What is the case now is that you jump from job to job. Okay. So what you do is and in between industries, you just look for the next opportunity. What you have here is just a stepping stone and you go to the next opportunity. So, it's one of those things that I think eventually it may come back to bite the millennials and the Gen Zers because right now the market is pretty big. But eventually when that market starts shrinking, they're going to look at the people who have seniority and they're not going to hire anybody that looks like they're going to jump from job to job because the last thing they want to do is train that person and then they leave. Oh, and how about this one? Okay, this is one we do not understand. The baby boomers were the kind that we always focused on eating healthy, but plant-based everything. What's up with that? But I'll be honest with you, okay? I would have issues with plant-based stuff till my wife took me to this vegan deli. And that's what it was a deli, a vegan deli. Everything was plant-based. And I said, okay, I'll have a roast beef sandwich. But that's always kills me about plant-based stuff, is they make it taste like meat. Well, I'll be honest with you. This one was delicious. Okay, and I said, okay, all my preconceived ideas about plant-based went right out the window, because you know what? It was delicious. You know, but oh wow. And you know, the other thing that confuses millennials, I'm sorry, millennials, but baby boomers, millennials, and Gen Zers, minimal living. In other words, not the big house. I mean, just the tiny house, you know, no, not all the featured comforts that we baby boomers crave. I myself kind of like that. All right. You know, to me, the bigger the house, the more you got to clean. If you got a second story, you got to walk upstairs. Okay. And I, you know what? At my age, I don't want to walk upstairs. Matter of fact, I avoid stairs as much as possible. But, you know, what's the other thing that baby boomers have? Well-stocked china cabinets. We got clutter everywhere. And I saw the funniest cartoon, one of the cartoons that I saw, was they show a baby boomer and they show a millennial. And the baby boomer is showing the cabinet, the china cabinet. And she's turning to the millennial and says, just think, one day this will all be yours. And the millennial's like, oh no, that's the last thing I want. Yeah. Oh, and the other thing that we don't understand is cryptocurrency and NFTs. We don't understand that. All right, because we think that money's got to be physical. We got to touch it. We have to be able to see it. We have to be able to visit it at the bank. But crypto, Bitcoin, all of that, we don't understand it. Just have no idea, and I don't think we will ever understand that. But yeah, Bitcoin, no way. Oh, how about cancel culture? You know, I hear this about cancel culture. This is not a new phenomenon. This has been cancel culture. It goes back to the time man started walking the earth. Just think about this. In the 1960s, John Lennon said that they were more popular than Jesus Christ. Okay. And at the time, he may have been right. Well, everybody started burning their albums and they were going to have nothing to do with the Beatles anymore. That's cancel culture. You know, he had to come out and apologize about it. But yeah, I mean, you know, so, you know, it's one of those things. The problem is with social media, everybody can get anything you put on the internet. Everybody knows that, or everybody can get it, and you are in big trouble. I mean, look at these politicians. They've said stuff 10, 15 years ago, and it comes back to bite them. So they always have to be very, 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 very cautious of what you believe or what you put out on the internet. Oh, how about remote friends? Okay. Now, it's baby boomers. We had remote friends, which you call pen pals. But at one time we had met. We knew each other physically, you know, and basically it was a long distance type of thing. Okay. They moved somewhere and you would write letters or make calls and stuff like that. And you'd stay together. These particular people you've never met. Okay, these friendships are never met. And there was an article that said 1 out of 5 teenagers have a romantic relationship with AI. Okay, all I can think of, and if you watch The Big Bang, was Raj and his infatuation with Siri. Yeah. What is up with that? Okay, but friendship that people you've never met physically, but you know what? You call them your friend. You know. Oh, and how about a gig economy as a lifestyle? In other words, okay, I'm Uber, I'm doing all of this. In other words, they have a lot of side hustles. And that's how they do their living, which is fine with, it's good because then they can take the time off that they want. They do all kinds of stuff. But yeah, it's one of those that, okay, if that's what you want, that's fine, because it gives them the flexibility, autonomy, and, that they crave. But eventually, I think you're going to have to get a real job. But if anything, at least you're working. Okay. Now pronoun disclosure. That one really puzzles baby boomers, because all they know is that when they were growing up, there was you call everybody Mr. or Mrs., ma'am, or sir. Okay, that was it. Now you've got to navigate this. Make sure you say the right thing at the right time. So yeah, that one's a tough one for baby boomers as well. And then of course, they also have the wellness identity. All right. So in other words, forget the gym memberships and everything like that. All of the ice baths and everything like that we've done. This one right in through here is basically spiritual. Okay, wellness. Okay, we're used to the physical, getting in there. You're doing workouts, ice baths. You talk. The younger people are more interested in a spiritual, intense life. In other words, so they feel good about themselves. Oh, and speaking about crypto, how about virtual real estate? I will never understand that, ever. What in the world is that? I mean, if I buy land, I want to see it sooner or later. So I have no idea. Oh, how about the videos? What do they call them? A mesmar. I think that's why it's pronounced or whatever. But it's like to calm yourself. It's like videos of whispering, tapping, ripping paper, and that, of course, that strikes us a little on the strange side. But apparently it works very well for the younger. For us, it was kind of like the baby boomers. It was like smooth jazz, very low. But for Gen Zers and millennials, this is the thing. This is the thing that relaxes them. But okay, let's do one more, all righty, and then we'll end this one. How about AI generated art? Okay, AI generated art. All right. For older adults, for baby boomers, this is tough because we're used to the human craftsmanship of art. And this is the beauty I've always found of orchestras, is because a computer can do it perfectly, but it's a computer. When you look at an orchestra, it's filled with how many different human beings, and everyone's got to be perfect. You cannot make a mistake. That is the beauty of the human condition. In other words, when you looking at art, okay, it takes a certain talent, a gift. And when you look at music, and you look at these orchestras and they're playing live, I mean, anyone could make a mistake, and the whole structure just falls apart. That's why the older generation loves. It's not so attractive to the younger creators, because a lot of times what they'll do is they can create everything right on the keyboard, right on the mixer. But for us, it's like every person, it's almost like we're working together, not separately. But having said that, it's about time for us to end this one. And again, we'll see the professor sometime in January. And other than that, you have a great day, and may God bless. We'd like to thank you for listening and remind you, if you happen to have any baby boomer topics you'd like us to cover, just email us at growingupboomer@gmail.com. And until next time, may God bless.